I'm Roslyn, and this is my co-author, Brenda.
Hi.
Well, today we're going to continue the process of pulling out excerpts from our foreword, the foreword of our book that's going to be coming out this year in 2025. I'm really excited about it. And let's get started.
Roslyn, have you ever been in a situation where you get the sign? So let me do an example. You have someone that you're leading and he or she always misses their deadline. And you, as a leader, in your expectation that they will miss the deadline, you go ahead and maybe do something yourself or ask someone else to do it for them. Do it so that you can have it because you already feel that this person is not going to meet their deadline and you really want to meet the deadline. No, it's human nature to want to fix things yourself. And so sometimes as leaders, we get caught in this web that we are now doing the tasks of others. And it is not a good thing because you're actually rewarding or making a bad habit even worse. It is human nature to overlook those warnings. And we do get them. We get that feeling of, oh, you need to tackle this. You get that feeling of this person is just not on target. You get a feeling that something is going to be done that, just not going to fit into the plans. And when you get those feelings, it is a good idea to sit down and analyze it and look at the situation to ensure that you don't derail the process of achieving the goals.
One of the things that I remember is the person that held the position before was beloved, and new management came in. They made the decision that they didn't want that person anymore. Other dynamics to add to that would be the whole team was very, very young. And so this person would have been a mother figure to them. And they were upset that this person was replaced. Right? So it's a different situation altogether. And the example that I give has two learning lessons. The first one is that I didn't anticipate, as a young leader, first time leading a team in that particular context, that the reasons for them being unwilling to cooperate with what we needed to do was simply because they were sad. They were just sad. So I would say in the first instance, I just couldn't understand. I mean, and it required at a certain point to say like, well, what is it? Like something, I can't put my finger on it because at the time when I was brought on board, I was not aware of the full-blown explosion that had taken place and how the person was, pulled out by security or something like that. I mean, it was just like traumatic, I would say, for those that were there. And sometimes humans, we don't think things clearly when we're in a state of grief. And so here comes a new person.
Yeah.
I became the enemy. Let me tell you, it was something else. And it just really at a certain point required me to have a sit down and just say, I'm so sorry that you're sad. I could totally understand. I now have learned like how things transpired. And I just want you to just look at this logically to know that this didn't have anything to do with me. But in your sadness, this is what's happening. And just be able to kind of explain the ripple effect of them not doing what they needed to
It's
do.
supposed to do.
Yeah. The intuition is something that would tell you something else is going on. Because as I said, when I was brought on, I was oblivious to the explosion, how the person was pulled out and all of that. And it does get into when you are taking a new position, try your best to do as much research as you can, but sometimes that's just really truly not possible if you
Uh,
understand.
and in some instances, you come in and they are set in their ways because they have done it that way for so long, anything that is new is just not accepted. And so that also takes a different type of approach in letting them recognize that time is changing. Change is the only thing that really happens all the time. The one constant is change. And,
Mhm.
persons are not necessarily always acceptable of change. And so you as a leader, if you would have to break it down, if you would have to maybe have some people held accountable, but there are certain at a certain stage you have to use your intuition, but you also need to evaluate the situation and be objective and be
Mhm.
fair in how you approach the issue and how you can solve it. So it does
Mhm.
take quite some sitting back, and that is why it is very important for the leader to have um, the mindset of it is a work in process. Leadership is just not that you have arrived. Leadership means that you need to find a way, because every leadership situation is different. The goals are different, the persons are different, and so you can't, it's not a one size fit all formula for leadership. Leadership is specific to the situation for success.
Mhm. Agreed. Here's another excerpt. In leadership, you should always have your core team. I know this topic is really dear to your heart, Brenda.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And
And I would love for you to just share with everyone your thoughts on it.
yes, this came about for me with finding out for myself that even at a young age, persons I would be trusted into situations, and I would always be like, why me? And then I sat one day and I was saying, persons I would say, I see the potential in you. And so one of my personal quotes that I created was, when someone sees potential in you, prove them right. And so that just means that they see something that maybe you can't see for yourself. And so I surrounded myself with my core team, and those were persons, and they didn't have anything to particularly do with the group that I was leading at the time, but they were my core team for my mental well-being. And so on the team would be my mom, because as someone who was my biggest cheerleader, but also the one who could just tell me about myself and tell me exactly what I needed to do to approach it differently. I had, of course, my soul sisters. There are two of them that they are the ones who sometimes said you can do this, or would be like you needed to do it differently. And when persons see us, they'd be like, these 3 or 4 ladies are always together. But when we're together, it is fireworks, because we're in a safe place where we can openly say what we feel without feeling that we're being judged, or without, and sometimes it hurts. We have had discussions where one of us would get up and leave the room, or don't say anything for a couple hours, but we know it comes from a good place, and it comes from a place where you want the person to be better. So your core team will always be the team that keeps you grounded in any one of your leadership situations. You have to be careful though, because your core team can sometimes be outside of the direct leadership position that you're in. So you have to be aware of not breaching confidentiality, especially if you're in a workplace with things that happen with persons at work. And it is a matter of respect among your core team, that they don't expect you to, because we just know that you can't, because that is part of integrity. And so we can have discussions without getting into confidential things. And it's more about, how are you feeling in your role? What should you do differently? You need to take a break. You need to stop slacking. You need to approach it differently. Brenda, you could have answered that differently. And so that is what it is. You just need one or two of those persons that really, really um, get you to the right place. Because I mean, it's cliche and everybody's saying a man is not an island, but honestly, you can't exist or you can't lead if you're alone, because then who you leading? Yourself. So you also need to have that core team that assists in your leadership journey.
It's okay to have work friends. And that is a person that at work, they have demonstrated reliability and be able to do their job, and you can exchange ideas on how to do things better. And it's okay to share a meal and talk about just general things. But be careful though of those work friends. Do they reserve the right to know the inner workings of your concerns and what goes on in your personal life?
And sometimes it is a balance because you have your core team, but if the core team is, for instance, in the same environment that you're leading, then others assume that you're doing things that you don't do, and it can be misleading because persons themselves behave a certain way. They expect you to behave a certain way, and sometimes those problems or those things are not even really there, but because it is there for them mentally, it then creates a whole situation that if you ever sit and try to get to the root of it, it was just assumption. It was just persons going on their insecurities and their feelings, and they create a vision or something in their head about your relationship with another person in the environment. So it can get quite tricky. And so my core team, like I tell everyone, that those are the four persons, because now my team is about four. There's just four of us, and yeah, my mom has passed on, but now I have a spiritual relationship with her where I still talk to her. So if you ever pass my house and you hear me say, "But mommy, really?" It is because that is still my one of my go-to persons in terms of I can vent. And so there's a difference between dealing with a situation, and that is why we really want to focus on the leader in becoming a better version of leadership within the aspects of leader, because it is a 24-hour job. It's a full-time job, and you are not only dealing with your personal situation. Every person on that team then becomes your part of you, and so you want the best from each one of them, and so you need to find the balance. And the best thing is to have a situation or something in place, Roslyn, where you can be the leader and still the person that leads. And there's a big separation.
Big
And
separation.
it is and a lot of leaders have crumbled or has been taken away from their actual potential because they were overwhelmed by the dark side of leadership.
Absolutely.
And we
Absolutely.
definitely, absolutely want you to know that it doesn't have to be there. Because when you recognize it, you just shine that flashlight, and it is not going to disappear, but you'll be able to maneuver left, right, forward, backward, and then still be able to achieve your goals.
So here is a final excerpt from our foreword. Our hope is that new leaders will become cognizant, and those who had deeply hurtful experiences can receive healing and be better prepared.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Absolutely.
And so even for us going through the process of writing this book, we had to delve in, situations, and we had to see also where we were wrong. We had to see where we could have seen it from somebody else's perspective. And
Absolutely.
yes, and it made it better for our next projects and our next leadership roles. And so we hope that this book will also be a toolkit for you. And trust me, this is just the beginning, because we are still growing from doing this project. We are finding new aspects of leadership. Every time we meet, we leave our meetings with something different than when we came in. And so for us, this is a really a building up of us for ourselves, even as the authors, of being able to provide information, to be able to give feedback, to be able to assist in the areas, because we have experienced nearly all the aspects, or all the aspects that we have put in the book. And so it is definitely a tool that can assist you if you're a new leader, if you're an existing leader, because I always say tomorrow is a brand new day. So it's never too late to change your approach. It's never too late to try something new. But in the back of your mind, your changing might not be what will happen instantly. So you need to keep at it. You need to maybe change aspects of it, but at the end, don't change your aspirations to be an excellent leader.
Mhm.
Roslyn?
Absolutely. I would add that it's important that you know that we want you to be successful in whatever role that you have. We don't want you to give up, and we want you to rely on that healthy core team. Mine includes friends that I've had for over 20 years, 10, 20 years, and my pastor and his wife, they're just really dear to me to be able to provide that type of counsel, because those deeply hurtful experiences, if you don't have that support to work through that process, it could be really devastating. And I would just say, frankly, that yes, we want you to try everything, utilize the tools that we have. But I do think it's important for a person to exercise self-care. Some people are just beyond toxic and beyond relentless in their pursuits to pull you down. So you really have to take a look at your health. I would have been part of a seminar that dealt with addressing toxicity in the workplace. And we would have had a medical professional that spoke about how stress can really impact your health. So if your hair is falling out, you have diabetes, your blood pressure skyrocketing, you have migraines, back pain, you're just depressed, that's not good. And so even in the position of leadership, you do need to have a moment to reflect on where you are health-wise and whether it is really in your best interest to deal with that. But at the same time, prayer does wonderful things. Reliance on the Lord is awesome. And even as you're going through that healing process, I think one thing I would say that I love about our book is that it can let a person who didn't have a good experience the first time around or the second time around, it can let them know I wasn't tripping. Like, I know this stuff will happen. I didn't think about it. So when you see it in black and white, you'll be like, I knew this is the case. And that's the other part of it, because we love the Lord. Brenda and I are Christians, and we have no problem in saying that. But that is it. Like, the enemy wants you to feel that it's only happening to you and it must be your fault. No. That isolation thing, no. We're shining the light on the fact that this nonsense happens, and we want to be able to give you some tools on that. Below, you will find the link to get in touch with us, and we're really excited that in 2025, we'll be offering online seminars and sessions and workshops that deal with leadership and how to bring this toolkit alive, and we're excited about everything that's coming forward for you, and thanks for joining us today.
Bye. See you soon.